Back in the statement of work, I successfully completed summary task 2. Now I'll advance the statement of work to summary task 3, digitize buildings and launch pads. SpaceX recently submitted an environmental assessment to the FAA requesting permission to expand the number of annual launches to 25. The expanded vertical launch facilities include 2 orbital launch pad sites, 2 suborbital launch pad sites, and 2 landing sites. Rockets launched from the orbital launch pad sites will generate light, heat, and especially sound pollution that can significantly impact neighboring residences and businesses. Existing building and launch pad datasets do not exist for the study area, so you'll need to digitize building footprints and launch pads before you can assess the impact of a rocket launch. And so again, in Summary Task 3, you'll digitize the buildings and launch pads. You'll begin by creating a buildings feature class and preparing the editing environment, and then you'll digitize the building footprints, and then you'll repeat this workflow to create orbital launch pad feature classes and digitize the launch pad locations. Back in ArcGIS Pro, in the Catalog pane, I'll right-click the base map feature dataset and select New and Feature Class. This opens the Create Feature Class wizard. I'll name the new feature class as buildings underscore 2024 underscore ACC. Make sure the feature class type is set to polygon. Uncheck the geometric properties for M and Z values. Go ahead and leave Add Output Feature Dataset to Current Map checked and click Next. We're not going to add any attribute fields. I'll click Next. And there you can see the spatial reference is set to our local NAT 83 Texas South State Plane coordinate system. And that's because it's enforced by the feature dataset in which the feature class is being created. Go ahead and click Finish. That creates the buildings feature class, and it also adds it to the contents pane as the buildings feature layer. I want to update the symbology, so I'm going to click on this symbol patch, and something good for digitizing, maybe the thick black outline, and then go over to properties and switch the color to differentiate it from the study area. I'm going to switch to purple. All right, that looks good. Close the symbology pane. Remember, we're going to capture the buildings within the study area, so I'm going to drag the buildings below study area so I remember. And now I'm ready to set up my editing environment. And we'll start by switching from List by Drawing Order panel to List by Selection panel. And then I'm going to right-click the buildings layer and select Make this the only selectable layer. I'll switch to the List by Editing panel, right-click Buildings, select Make this the only editable layer, then switch to the List by Snapping panel, right-click Buildings again, and select Make this the only snappable layer. I'm going to reset my contents pane, and now I'm ready to activate my edit ribbon and set my snapping properties. So I'm going to click on the snapping dropdown and make sure that edge snapping is enabled. And I'm going to go ahead and toggle snapping on. Last, in the features group, I'm going to click on the Create button. This opens the Create Features pane. I'm going to go ahead and dock it over my catalog pane so I got a little more room in my map view. Expand the building's feature template. And then now we're ready to start creating our buildings. And we're going to start over in Boca Chica Village. And so I'll zoom the map view out and pan over to Boca Chica Village and zoom in to Esperson and Eichhorn. All right, we'll use this area to capture our first few buildings. And we want to start with a rectangular building. So in the Create Features pane, I'm going to select the rectangle button, and then in the construction toolbar, make sure that both the rectangle options are disabled, And then I'm going to click on a corner of my rectangular building and then drag down the long edge, click again, and then click a third time to size a rectangle on the underlying feature in the base map. All right, that creates my rectangular building feature. Now, what if I want to create something that's not a rectangle? So I'm going to switch to the polygon feature tool. And then I'm just going to click around this house along Esperson Street. And I can do it pretty good, but the problem is that houses have right angles, and I don't necessarily click at right angles. So when I finish my building footprint, it doesn't quite look square like a building should look. And so there's some tools that we can use to do a better job of digitizing building footprint. So I'm going to delete the feature and redigitize it. I'm still going to use the polygon tool, but over on the construction toolbar, I'm going to switch to the right angle construction tool. And then now I'm going to digitize my building footprint again, but notice that it constrains each segment to a right angle to the previous segment. And so it makes for a much cleaner building footprint. Go ahead and click on my last vertice and click to finish the sketch. All right, that looks much better. And you're going to be digitizing a lot of buildings, so I want you to experiment with the different tools. There's another tool that can improve your process. So I'll digitize this building using, again, the right angle tool. But this time for my last vertice, instead of clicking, I'm going to right click the map and select square and finish. And that squares off my last vertice, so I don't have to guess where it is. All right, that looks really great, very clean. So we've created our first 3 building features. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch, clear my selected features, and save my edits. There's a total of 1 to 200 buildings in the study area. If I zoom out, I want you to digitize all the buildings in Boca Chica Village, anything larger than an RV. All the buildings in the control site, including the Stargate Launch Operations Center. And then if I pan over to the western portion of our study area along State Highway 4, you'll find there are some buildings within our study area over there. And then down along the Rio Grande River, you'll find some buildings and houses as well. So make sure you get all those buildings. And then last, there's a building over at the launch site. So if I zoom to extent and zoom in on the launch site, you'll see the power and control systems building. Make sure you digitize that rectangular building as well. So if I turn off the site layout, there you can see that building. All right, I'm going to turn the site layout back on and zoom out. Go ahead and get started and digitize your buildings. Again, approximately 1 to 200 buildings fall within the study area. I'm going to go ahead and advance the video, and I'll catch you at the very end before I save my edits to the building feature class. All right, at this point, I've digitized all of my buildings, finishing with my power and control systems building. So if I zoom in on the launch site, there you can see my power and control systems building. Now we need to digitize the launch pads. There's launch pad A and launch pad B. So we'll begin by creating a new point feature class in the site feature dataset. And I'm going to name the new point feature class as orbital underscore launch underscore pads. Set the feature class type to point. Make sure the geometric properties are disabled or unchecked. Go ahead and click next. We want to add a name attribute field, so I'm going to call it all uppercase name and set the data type to text. Click next. And because the site feature dataset's enforcing the coordinate system, it's the same state plane coordinate system. Click finish. That creates our orbital launch pads feature class, and then you can see it listed as a point feature layer in the contents pane. And if I update the symbology for the orbital launch pads, I'm going to use the gallery to make it really stand out, maybe *3, and switch to the properties panel and increase the point size from 10 to say maybe 18. All right, that really jumps out. Now I need to set up my editing environment. So I'm going to make sure that orbital launch pads feature layer is the only selectable layer, the only editable layer, and the only snappable layer, although we're not going to snap to anything. Reset my contents pane, activate the edit ribbon. Again, make sure you've configured your snapping settings. I don't really need snapping, but I'll just leave it on. It's fine. In the features group, I'm going to click on the create button to open the create features pane, and then expand the orbital launch pads feature template. I also want to open under the selection group the attributes pane, because we're going to update the attributes as well. So now I'm going to click on the point construction tool and add a point at launch pad A. And then with it selected in the attributes pane, I'm going to update the name field as launch space pad space A. I need to add the second launch pad that's being proposed, and we're going to call that one launch space pad space B. All right, go ahead and close the attributes and create features panes. Clear the selected features, save your edits, reset the map view, and save your ArcGIS Pro project. Now we're ready to perform our impact assessment.